now. Well, let's go back to the studio where Keith Curle, Paul Lake and Chris can try and pick the bones out of that one.
Yeah, so welcome to the studio for our Matchday Live halftime show. Everton 0, Manchester City 0, and Ali Man said it in commentary, guys, it does feel a little bit 0-0, although there was that really good late chance for Kevin De Bruyne, which we'll get to. You predicted this, I think, both gentlemen. Before the game kicked off, you were saying that David Moyes is going to set up, he's going to sit his defence very, very deep, and he's going to say to Manchester City, come and try and get through us, and it's played out like that.
Absolutely, and that's the one thing about David Moyes' teams is that when he sets up, he tries to create intensities at certain sort of touch points, and like I say, set pieces, that type of thing. But you know, as Curly said at the start, you know, he's going to sit deep, going to absorb pressure, and when they've got Harrison, you know, breaking forward, Mykolenko's got forward quite a lot and put some good balls into the box as well. So there are certain areas of the pitch where they have been more expansive, certainly around Ndiaye. He's the one player that I feel is the uncertainty, the unknown. He could be that threat. But from a City perspective, we saw initially that Bernardo was trying to link in with Kevin De Bruyne. They suddenly got wise to that. And towards the end there, Núñez got beyond. Now, Ndiaye won't like coming back in there. He won't like defending. So that might be something that we can certainly exploit in the second half. Núñez has got pace. He puts a decent ball in, and the ball bounced back for Kevin. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to put it in the back of the net. But you know, from that perspective, I think we look controlled, we look comfortable, and we don't look like we're under that much pressure, apart from, as we saw, set pieces.
Yeah, that chance that Paul was talking about, Keith, came in the 43rd minute. Before that, we were saying there's not a great deal to talk about in this game, but it was a really creative move. It was Bernardo with the outside of the foot, feeding Núñez, cutting the ball back, and De Bruyne shot on target. Brilliant defending from Jake O'Brien.
Yeah, definitely, and I think probably if you have a look at both managers, I think both managers will be relatively happy. David, with his team shape, obviously, he knows the threats that City have, so they've had to concede the fact that, you know, it's going to be probably 70-30 in possession stats, but they've still had opportunities and they still do look dangerous. I think they're not shy about when they get into the final third area about putting the ball into the box. A concern that you pick up, or I picked up on straight away, is going to be Núñez and Nico's, their defensive responsibilities when crosses are coming into the box, and it's a principle of defending about being able to defend the back post or defend your outside shoulder. And again, they're not either of them are natural fullbacks, but it's one of those things where you can think, well, that might be a weakness that David might have seen. Think about, well, when we get in the final third, put balls in and try and aim for that back post area, because you only need half a yard to make a slight mistake in judgment, and that can lead to a goal.
Yeah, and the two players that you've already mentioned, Iliman and Ndiaye, and Jack Harrison has got, well, perhaps a point to prove, because he was on the books at Manchester City for a couple of years, and he's come out and he looks pretty sharp as well today.
He does, yeah, and again, he's a player that can go outside and can come in. You know, he's putting some good balls, and he is really, really positive. It's a great test for Nico. You know, and as Curly has said there, it isn't just around Nico's defensive responsibilities, but when he goes from an offensive position to get back into position that he knows where he is. Because we've seen at times, he stepped into that kind of number 10 space, if you will, and he looks so comfortable. You forget that he's 6'4". You know, he handles the ball beautifully. You know, so in those pockets, he can be a real addition and create overloads where Everton won't want that. But the flip side to that is, you know, as has been said, is from a defensive responsibility there is got to be key. At times on the right-hand side, Núñez has been, you know, 1v1 in aerial considerations, you know, against Ndiaye, which he's comfortable with. But other times, Mykolenko's got forward and he's run those headers. So, you know, he has to be mindful of that. And sometimes we might need to double up. That's what Savinho's doing on occasion. But on this right-hand side, Bernardo isn't really doing that. So they may look to our left-hand side to be more of a threat second half.
Yeah, we talked pre-match about the threat that Everton might pose at set pieces, and indeed the best chance, you might say, of the first half came from a set piece. Corner from the left-hand side taken by James Garner, and he hung it up high. Tarkowski got up well, got up above Gvardiol and Bernardo Silva, and saw it bounce back off the post. The threat is real, Keith.
Yeah, definitely. And again, they block the goalkeepers off. But again, when you zone mark, then the important people is, on that one it was Bernardo, they have to be blockers to stop the run of people that are attacking the ball, which is, you got Tchaikovsky up against Bernardo, you think, well, how's he going to stop him? But like, he's only got to stop him half a stride, and that's enough, and it makes it a standing jump. They block the goalkeeper so the goalkeeper can't come out, and it's fight ball in there. And that's what I'm saying about earlier on, desire, attitude, willingness and bravery to go and stick your head on it in there. You need that to get anything out of the Everton game.
Yep. Fortunate that the post was standing up tall, keeping that one out. So still 0-0. There was a good chance for Manchester City before the De Bruyne effort. It was a kind of a whip chip through ball for Matheus Nunes, and he couldn't quite get onto it. And on the slow motion replay, I said to you both, could he have gambled there? Could he have tried to take that on the full? I suppose it's easy for me to say sitting here.
Well, we thought so, but when you slow the movement down, he's actually stepping away from the goal. So in that moment, to change direction is virtually impossible. Even Aguero, with his low centre of gravity, would have struggled to do that. But that said, that is another opportunity for City to try to exploit that. Let's be honest, when you've got Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva in and around those areas, they can find that pass. So that's something else that could be an opportunity for us in the second half.
Yeah, so let me just run through the stats. It was the kind of first half where Ali Mann said in commentary there's going to be no time added on. And the referee, Simon Hooper, blew his whistle on 45:01. He said, that's enough of that half. let's let the managers have a team talk and see if we could have a better second half. So the stats are weighing in City's favour. 62%, 38% in terms of possession, as you would probably expect with these two sides. The expected goals is low. Everton, 0.18, City, 0.23. But in terms of total shots, Everton have only had the one. That hit the post from James Tarkowski. Manchester City, 3 shots, 2 of them on target, and big chances on the app that I'm using. It says there was only 1 big chance in that first half, and it was Kevin De Bruyne's shot that was blocked from James Tarkowski. So 0-0 at half-time. I think we need to get a flavour of what it felt like in the stadium. So let's cross to get the views of our match co-commentator Michael Brown. He's standing by with FG.
You're welcome back to Goodison Park. Half-time, I mean, not so much to speak about in that first half. I mean, there was an opportunity for Everton to hit the post. Nunes created a good chance as well, forced to save out of Pickford. And at the end as well, what a block that was by the Everton defender.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Limited chances. We wanted a little bit more, but we wanted to keep this hostile crowd as low as possible. So then you got to think, well, the job was done, wasn't it? We controlled the possession, we moved the ball around, but we really needed to create more chances. I think that is the talking point. That's what we mentioned in commentary. Try and demand a bit more from the wide players, get the forward players into better position. Can De Bruyne get some space to try and do everything that he's got? He's got that quality, hasn't he?
I thought the City fans were actually singing that someone else was something else. They're in great spirits as Troy Deeney.
Apologies if there's any language in that, I suppose.
Absolutely, yeah. Troy Deeney is on the pitch, and they're reminding him of Manchester City's cup final win against Watford. I mean, a word on these fans. They've been absolutely brilliant all throughout, haven't they? Like they always are.
Yeah, they love it. They love a little bit of something. So there you go. We're getting a little bit of fun. That's what they want, isn't it? Something to talk about. It's been a little bit quiet. And hopefully we're standing here, FG, at the end of the game. That's when it's great. That's when we really enjoy it, when those players are coming across, celebrating in front of the supporters.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, it's a half probably to forget in a footballing terms, but we're still in the game here, and that's the most important thing. We'll be shooting towards the Manchester City fans in the corner, so hopefully they'll have one last good celebration here at Goodison like we've had many over the years.
I'm sure they will. I think there'll be more chances. I think it's the key as well, isn't it? Keep controlling, keep it tight. And then what can come of it? Look at the bench as well. Lots of players who can come on and change it for certain. These fans will be saying, let's get a win. They'll drive it right till the very end. So a really interesting afternoon. We knew it was going to be difficult, and it certainly is one of those games being very cagey. We need a goal, FG.
We do need a goal. And remember, you can hear this man reacting to everything that happens in the second half on the City Plus app. Let's head back to the studio. Brownie, I see you at full time, hopefully, with a very, very loud corner here at Goodison.
Thank you, FG. Thank you, Michael Brown. I'm glad we cut away at that moment because I think Troy Deeney was about to take on 3,000 away fans in the Goodison Park end. 6-0 in your cup final. That was the City fans reminding Watford legend Troy Deeney of what happened at Wembley all those years ago. Right, I'll tell you what we want to focus on because we haven't had any goals at Goodison Park at half-time in this one. There were plenty of goals earlier on. We were watching the second half together. as Ollie Rice's Manchester City under-18s, top of the table in the Premier League North, took on Middlesbrough. In the reverse fixture, City won 7-0, and they set about their task to try and match that pretty early doors with early goal in the first half. That was Finlay Gorman putting them in front. That's Finlay Gorman giving the assist here for Ryan McAdoo as he cut inside on his left foot and smashing the ball home. Those two goals came in quick succession early in the first half. Then 2-0 at the break. Matty Warhurst getting a tap in for 3-0. And then again, 2 goals in quick succession. This one played over the top, route one for Matty, and a lovely finish into the opposite corner. So he put himself on a hat-trick at that point. And then this, after a spell where City were actually defending, long ball played forward, and Regan Heskey does really well to get his head up, thread the ball back, and McAdoo slamming in from the edge of the box for his second of the game. Heavy challenge came in there, but look at the endeavour from the City players to continue trying to get forward as they rounded out the win with Regan Heskey smashing the ball in. Gorgeous colour. I think that's his 27th goal for the City youth teams, not all for the under-18s, but that was really impressive, super impressive from them, Paul. You know a lot about the academy teams here at Manchester City. If they win their next 2 games, they will be champions of the North. Absolutely, and it is well deserved. City have always had a very, very strong academy side, especially at 18s, and very successful. It feels like their only real competition this season has been Manchester United from a league perspective, and certainly in the FA Youth Cup final as well. There's hopefully more plaudits to come. But you think about the philosophy at the academy and how that's been embedded, you know, from quite a young age, and those nuances to positional play, which the academy players seem to adopt with ease. And we see that in Nico O'Reilly in the first team now. So that preparation, you know, starts really, really early. And obviously as they grow and mature, they learn to adapt their game. Some of the players now might need to go out on loan at the end of the season, you know, and very, very soon into the start of their professional careers, if you will. They'll be looking at that, well, what's next for this individual? Some will be tapping on Pep's door already, certainly pre-season. So it's really, really exciting. But when you see a game like that, it's about getting the job done. You know, as much as it's nice football and, you know, playing against a team that maybe they should on paper be beating them anyway, it's about putting them to the sword. And City and under-18s and 21s have done that time and time again. Yeah, 7-0 in the away game, 6-0 in the home game for this Manchester City under-18s team. Just having a quick glance down at the team sheet today. Nico O'Reilly in the starting team. On the bench today, there's McAtee, Rico Lewis, Phil Foden is there as well. We know that Cole Palmer has gone away and he's tearing it up at Chelsea as well. How many years might it be before we see one of these under-18 cohort in the first team for Manchester City?
Well, hopefully not too long. I think every football club that has the academy status like City have got, it's about the collective team performances over a season, excellent, but then individually it's about progression for the young players. How far away are they this year? How far away are they going to be next year from the first team? And again, if that gulf is too big, there's no disgrace in saying that I need to go and play competitive football. And I think that's the best thing for any young players, playing competitive football. Paul touched on it earlier on. It's about that understanding of how to win a game of football as a player.
Yep, and it goes from the top down at this great football club. You can see on the screen behind us, Everton are out early. They're making their way out onto the field. It is 0-0 at half-time. It's City's last trip to Goodison Park. They moved to a new stadium, Everton, across the summer. James Tarkowski, you can see, had their best chance. He headed one onto the post from a corner. Here come the City in their away strip. So it is time for us to hand back to our match commentators, Michael Brown and Alistair Mann.
Thank you, Chris. Welcome back to Goodison Park. You know, City's last 3 away games in the Premier League, they've scored just once, they've conceded just once. You have to go back to the 12th minute of the 26th of February when City last scored an away goal in the Premier League. That was an Erling Haaland goal, enough to see off Spurs. You get the feeling it might just be a 1-0 kind of game today. Let's hope that it is in City's favour. It will be Ilkay Gundogan that gets the second period underway.